Welcome back to the In the Gate podcast. This is a thoroughbred racing podcast, to be sure, but every once in a while, when something really noteworthy happens in a related equine sport, it's worth sharing that with you. And we have such an occasion to do that right now. It comes from the world of harness racing, where a driver, that's the term used in place of jockey since he or she rides in the bike behind the horse, a driver named Aaron Merriman pulled off a feat never seen before in the sport in this country.
Moving around that final turn, and the leader is Zumba. Aaron Merriman trying to get his 1,000th win of the season. He leads them out there by a length and a half. OU Shady Thing is there in second. Love Over Gold is on the outside advancing. And with the lead, it's Zumba. Zumba maintains them by 2. It is going to be Zumba. Aaron Merriman going to do it. The first driver in history to achieve 1,000 wins in multiple seasons. Congratulations, Aaron, from all of us at Northfield Park and harness fans everywhere.
That's right, back-to-back 1,000-win seasons. What makes that more amazing is that only 3 other drivers in the history of the sport accomplished the feat even once, the most recent coming in 2007. To pull it off, Merriman rides both during the day at the Meadows outside Pittsburgh and then at night at Northfield Park in eastern Ohio. I don't know of any thoroughbred jockeys who pull double duty like that almost every day. It's amazing that Aaron Merriman could actually take 10 minutes to chat with us. I figured that to get him, we might have to put a mic on him during a race. I mean, maybe you remember the way we here at ESPN mic'd Boston Red Sox outfielder and eventual 2018 American League MVP Mookie Betts while he was playing in a spring training game last year. Here he is in right field talking to our announcers as the Cubs' Chris Bryant hits a triple over Betts' head.
You can't. There you go. I ain't getting this one, boys.
Get on your horse. Don't miss the cutoff.
So, Mookie, on that ball, you saw immediately. Wind is going that way. Ball is tailing. I've got no chance.
Yeah, that's why you just know.
I would have expected us to have to do the same thing with Aaron Merriman, but incredibly, we found him in a stationary position. And we welcome standard-bred driver Aaron Merriman here to win the gate. Has the accomplishment of back-to-back 1,000-win seasons sunken in yet for you?
Yeah, a little bit now. Give me the numbers of it, and, the number of different horses I win with and the number of trainers and, what trainer I win for the most and, the amount of dead heats and, maybe, post-race disqualifications and post-race getting moved up. So after, you think it down and you boil down the number and all the different trainers and stuff like that, I think 360 different horses and 200 and something odd different trainers are involved in that. So, when you start thinking of the numbers, you really maybe look at it differently.
Now, you've ridden for 22 years, but for much of the last 8 years, you've done double duty at the Meadows and at Northfield Park. What went into the decision to run such a demanding schedule?
It wasn't just really the demanding schedule at the time. When I first started doing it, I actually always trained a small stable for years, and you just always had a couple. And the horses weren't great in Ohio, and, Pennsylvania's just getting a little bit better. So I thought to myself, instead of being a trainer, which is hard to be a driver trainer, I think nowadays, and just being a trainer in general, I think, it's very demanding in itself, and I just didn't think I could put everything towards, you need to doing both. So I said to myself, hey, Meadows is 2 hours away. Maybe I can start getting some drives over there. I've had some success, in Ohio and, and beyond. So I said, hey, if I'm there every day, quality driver being there, I think that, people would like it. So, it worked out, and it's been a great place for me. It's been a second home. So I really appreciate the people there. And like I said, it's something I love.
How much of a toll does that schedule take?
I don't think you could believe it. It's really getting to me a little bit now, and it's not the horses. I could drive horses all day, 24 hours a day. I mean, it's something that I love to do. The people are great. The animals, the equine athlete, just like you said, you like thoroughbreds. The durability and the camaraderie you can get with the animal is unbelievable. But the road is definitely catching up. It's just the time on the road and just the everyday wear and tear on me.
Well, I mean, for those in our audience who mainly follow thoroughbred racing, they can understand the physical toll of riding on the back of a 1,200-pound animal running at 40 miles an hour. What kind of physical toll does it take to ride in a standard-bred race?
I mean, you're sitting in a race like, in a whatever position you're comfortable. I mean, everybody kind of rides a little bit different, sits a little bit different, but I mean, you're getting pulled on, and and sometimes hit from behind with the horses, their knees, or the horse's head, hitting on your helmet, neck issues, back issues, there are accidents. I've had some pretty bad ones where you have concussions and many broken bones, surgeries. It definitely takes a toll on you. We don't have to be as small as the jockeys, which kind of helps. I'm like 5'11", like 190, so I kind of live, other than that, pretty normal. My son's 15, my daughter's 4, so they keep me active when I see them. My son wants to play basketball and sports, so I get to do that. But just as jockeys will tell you, nothing's easy. And I know them guys are usually small, but they got to put a lot of work in. And I respect what they do, and I'm sure they respect what we do.
Well, none of that is as difficult as raising a teenager. I can commiserate with that part of your life.
Yes, I'm starting to learn, and guess what? My dad always told me there's no book on parenting. My mom kind of laughs. I've got 3 sisters, and I'm a brother. She's like, just think you're easy, and he's a boy, and she's like, just imagine what it was with me and your 3 sisters, which I remember. It wasn't easy.
We are chatting with harness racing driver Aaron Merriman. He just completed the second of back-to-back 1,000-win seasons, an unprecedented feat in that sport. He has more than 10,000 wins overall. Now, in stick and ball sports, when it comes to the popular sports argument of which players belong in their respective halls of fame and which don't, you often hear the criticism, he's just a compiler when it comes to statistics. A compiler would be someone who doesn't necessarily dominate his or her sport, but nonetheless has a long career and runs up lots of juicy stats to merit consideration. Fred McGriff in baseball comes to mind. Maybe John Stallworth in football. In thoroughbred racing, that would be Russell Bays, the all-time leader in thoroughbred wins by a jockey, but among those are just 5 Grade 1 wins. 5. So for you, let's face it, the Meadows and Northfield Park are not exactly the sport's biggest stages. How do you feel about not participating on the so-called Grand Circuit and not competing that often in harness racing's biggest events?
I have, and this year, I won numerous Grand Circuit races this year. I don't go around and follow them around, and there's really not a lot of room for other guys. I mean, you got a guy, Brett Miller, who went out there, very, very successful. He's coming back to Ohio. And not only, not for nothing, compiler or not, to drive that many horses and to not turn down, and I will say this, anybody can drive a good horse. I will tell you that, and any rider will tell you the same thing. I'm sure Mike Smith says it's a great horse. I'm blessed to go drive it. Let me tell you right now, the drivers will say the same thing. I'm very, very happy with my location. I've had numerous opportunities over the years to move out east, where I was asked by trainers, and actually a racetrack that goes for the most money that the general managers asked me 3 years straight to go out there and try to change the racing. And I don't even mention names. I'm sure people can say it. It's another half-mile track. I was third in purse money this year. Maybe I had to start 13 or 14 or more starts than the next guy, but my UDRS is near 390. There's not a guy in the top 10 with that UDRS that high. You know what I mean? And I don't believe in all that mumbo jumbo. I'll just be honest with you. I race the best, especially when you're harness race. You get an opportunity to race with the, quote unquote best drivers. And absolutely, there's some drivers that think they're great, but I did not put anything down. I drive with the winningest driver in the country, the world, every single day, and Dave Pallone. And once you ask the guys that are leading drivers in the country, they all raced there at one time. That was their home. Dave Pallone beat them all. So, that's why I said it just goes to show anybody can drive a good horse. That's just a fact.
Speaking of racing, I read that you got quite a few tickets racing from the Meadows to Northfield Park. How rushed a schedule do you have on a daily basis?
It can be rushed. Some of it's my scheduling because I want to drive the latest as possible at the Meadows, if I have a nice horse to race, and the earliest as possible at Northfield. I try to leave myself 25 to 30 minutes in between, but, being around the Pittsburgh area and things, sometimes traffic can be bad. And sometimes you're in a little bit of rush, but I've never had a ticket where I went 20 miles an hour over. So I've never had an excessive speeding ticket. It was always 10 or 11 miles over in a 70. It's more or less bad luck, in my opinion, because they're that petty. Give me one, but they see me all the time. So I've had plenty. I've had way too many, and I've had my license suspended a couple of times as well.
Well, I remember being in downtown Pittsburgh with my colleague Kenny Mayne. We were interviewing the race car owner Chip Ganassi, and we were going way too long and weren't going to get to the airport in time until Chip Ganassi said, hop in the back of my 560 class Mercedes, and he went so fast through the streets of downtown and through the tunnel and out to the airport that I had to duck down in the back because I couldn't even look. And no cop was anywhere near us. I don't understand.
That's good luck.
How much longer do you think you can keep up this kind of a schedule?
I don't know how much longer. It's something I've always tell people. I don't even look at the stats. You know what I mean? Till the end of the year. I just kind of go day by day. Tomorrow I'm doing the Meadows and Miami Valley. I'm just going to kind of go how I feel. You know, when you're winning races and you're doing good, and people count on me, and that's the biggest thing with me. Like, you know, that's another thing. Like, you know, you say not being at the sports elite. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's not saying at sports elite. I don't compete in the bigger races, you know, on a consistent basis. I think that's the best way to describe it. But you know what? The people that I drive for, I will say this, need me a lot more than the millionaires that are buying those Grand Circuit horses and those drivers. I mean, and that's the way I kind of go. People count on me. They put me down, and I'm going to do it as long as I can be really, really good at it. I'm going to try to, you know, be there for everybody that, you know, that count on me.
And maybe one day that teenage son who cares not a lick about his parents will say, wow, you know, my dad was really good.
Yeah, he does not like horse racing. It's like, but just not nothing. He's seen me sit at home a couple of times, you know, being severely injured. So it's not something that's on his forefront. But he understands how hard I work, and he's very, very good about it. Like, we're here at Costa. Right now we went to lunch today. You know what I mean? It's just a normal day, you know, whenever I can. And I go home every day, and I, you know, wake up to him every day, and it's a nice feeling. And that's another thing that, you know, you don't have to worry about that at the Grand Circuit when you're gone all summer long. I'm close enough to home. You know what I mean? I still want to be a family and a good father as well. So I think it's the place where I live is everything kind of moves it together, and I think it's a great life.
Well, some of us who understand how hard you work wish you continued success in the future, and thank you so much for sharing a few minutes with us, sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.